What's going on, y'all? This is Mike Brown, and I just wanted to say I hope you and all your loved ones are safe right now. Thank you guys for listening to the show and tuning into the show every week. I appreciate y'all so much for being on this journey with me. And also, if you like the show, please subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And also, please leave a comment. Let other people know what you think. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Mike Brown. This is the Art of Letting Go.
Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is the Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building. We met at a speed dating event. And it's funny because I just jumped in just because I was like, it ain't enough men here, so I'm going to just jump in. But we ended up connecting because you from Houston, I'm from Houston, and we just had like really dope conversation.
Yeah.
You mind introducing yourself to the people?
Hello, people. I am Ngozi Kim from GoziTV.com. And I write sketch comedy, and I'm from Houston as well, living at LA Cali Dream. Blessed to be on this podcast today.
I appreciate you being here. And we started out with like just amazing conversation and like, you know, with everything that we've been talking about, because, you know, to give the listeners like a little backstory of what we've been talking about, but we've been talking about everything that's going on right now and just the importance of Black lives, you know what I mean? And just seeing like the progression of how everything is moving, like it almost feels like, you know, us, especially as creatives, like we're part of like the next Black Renaissance, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's something special to be a part of. But how do you feel about like just where things are going to move? Because where do things go after this? You know what I mean? Or what do you envision?
So I can't necessarily weigh the world on my shoulders.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, you know, which as a Black woman, I feel like that happens to us a lot. And even now, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to do that. I feel like there's just a lot of pressure to speak out, to see what we're going to do moving forward. And I do believe that we are on the brink of something major, even more major than we've ever seen, because this is not a fight that we just started yesterday or 2 weeks ago. It's been a very long time. And so I'm not going to carry the world, but I am going to carry like my purpose into what I can bring to the world during this time, which is, you know, comedy, bringing out, you know, the funny things in even the ugliest times and the darkest moments. And so I'm focusing more on, hey, am I going to donate up everything I have in my bank account? No. Will I donate something? Yes. But also, will I donate what I can bring to the table just walking on this earth? Yes. That's my art. So yeah. I'm really just trying to, you know, focus on what I can do individually for the cause.
I appreciate you sharing that so much, because that is exactly where I've been. And, you know, I can't say that I connect to every form of fighting for the cause that everybody is doing, because I have my own ways, you know what I mean? Like simply just like with this podcast, for example, like I feel like my way of like empowering people and healing people is my way of contributing to the fight. And in the beginning, it was hard to accept what my role exactly is, because, you know, like you said, putting that weight of the world, you feel like you're supposed to be doing everything, but it's like, is people in place to be out marching and fighting for that? Is people in place to do different things? And like, I think the biggest way to contribute is really finding our own roles within it.
Right. So whatever your art form is, pouring into people, speaking to people, having a podcast, doing comedy, doing spoken word, poetry, people are doing interpretive dances, whatever, because at that, when you're doing something that is so inherently a part of you, it's inevitably going to make the world better.
Yeah.
You know, this is just what we need, even if it's one person a day or two people a day, whatever it is, as long as you're actively doing what you can, you know.
Yeah. And just coming from where we from, I feel like, you know, just coming from Houston, I feel like, I'm sure you have as well, dealt with a lot of racism, fought a lot of racism. And it's like the the way of fighting it looks a little different to me now. You know what I mean? Like, rather than, because growing up, the only thing I was taught was to use my hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody tell you something disrespectful, you put your hands on them. Somebody call you out your name or whatever, like somebody tell you something racist, you fight. And now being an adult and being more mature, you know, for me, my fight looks like, it just doesn't make sense to keep trying the same thing that wasn't working. So it's almost feeling like having to throw away racism. Like, yes, I'm not denying that it exists at all, but I don't have to partake in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing that's been on my mind, because a lot of my non-Black friends have been reaching out as far as what can they do, how can they help, and I feel like it's not on me to come up with the solution because I'm not the problem.
We didn't create the problem at all.
Yeah. And I think a lot about like women and having to deal with rape. Like, would you ask a woman to come up with a solution for how not to be sexually assaulted? So how could you expect a Black person to come up with a solution for racism?
Right. We're waiting on, you know, we're waiting on the culprit to come out and say, hey, or I did this, you know, that level of accountability that we're still waiting on in this country. Is just like, hey, once we're not going to accomplish anything until accountability is shown and held and put on the forefront, put at the dinner table is what we need to be serving. I'm not serving you guys any more pamphlets, anymore. This is how we feel anymore. The accountability is what you guys need to serve us. A big old juicy plate of it, because it doesn't make sense either way. I have had friends, non-Black friends, who have reached out and everything. And it's just like, listen, me telling you what to do is not going to fix the problem, because we've been saying it. We've been saying it years ago when the Black Lives Matter movement even started. Nobody wanted to hear it. Everybody was calling it divisive. It was this, it was that. Kaepernick taking a knee. Nobody wanted to, you know, and so I don't want to feel that, oh, here we go again. Every few years we act like we care and then don't. But if it's a situation where people continuously ask, what can I do? And then we tell them and then nothing really gets done. It's like, what are we doing? You know, it's exhausting living the life of a Black person in the U.S. I can only speak for myself. And it's also exhausting, you know, it's also exhausting trying to explain, hey, this is what y'all did and this is how we're going to fix it. Because it's like, what are we doing? We've been telling y'all for years. We've been showing y'all. And it's just like, do y'all want to hear just so y'all can say, okay, well, we tried? Or do y'all really actually, do we want to tear down this system that's been built and rebuild? I mean, it's exhausting.
It is. And I was going to ask you, what is it like for you as a creative during this time, like having to deal with this, but also having to deal with the pandemic and just everything that's going on? How has it been for you creatively?
Okay, so this year started off very interesting. I told myself, I was like, listen, girl, you got to get on a show, you know, trying to do bigger and better things. I was going on auditions for major television shows every day. The pandemic hit. You know, I'm here in LA, like your worst nightmare. You're here in LA by yourself. A pandemic hits. My mom actually got COVID-19. Oh, wow. And yeah, and so she's an essential worker. She's a nurse. And so she got better, recovered. I was so worried about my dad. So that type of anxiety took place, right? You know, you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for this. Then when everyone's mental state is already kind of like very fragile, here comes this. And so in that moment, in moments like that, I started to make sure that I was eating right, tapping even deeper into my spirituality, listening to God, because sometimes with everything going on, it's easy to just like hear him, but not really have to pay attention. I feel like we're being forced to pay attention. And to me, it's pay attention to why this is all happening. Like, my mom had COVID. I'm not in a place where I could just get in my car and drive 15 minutes away to go see her. So there's a lot of things that I have to deal with by myself here and still be creative. Yeah. Because I often know how to create through the chaos, but the chaos came so heavy. It was just like, okay, this is when your art is needed the most. So I've really just been sitting with that. Like I said, just been meditating and doing more things so that I can have the mind space and have the healthy mind to even be able to create anything. So really just knowing that this is all for a purpose. Like, we have stories to tell, this is just all for a purpose. And so I've actually been more creative since this has been taking place. Like I said, I can create through the chaos, which is very important. And some of the best art was made and created through,
Absolutely.
Anne Frank's one of my favorite. She literally journaled through what was going on. She was a writer, and that she'll always be my favorite example. How she, opened up that journal, and still to this day, will never be forgotten because of sharing her art during the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that. Cause I feel that same way. And sometimes, and I guess my question to you would be is, how do you not take on the pressure of the world? Cause sometimes as a creative, it does make you feel like,
right,
that you're supposed to be creating for change or whatever. But right. I'm sure Anne Frank wasn't writing that book thinking like, I have to like change the world with my right. with her journal. You know what I mean?
She was just creating through the pain. And it's just like, I can't think about if this is going to solve all the problems, but I can think about how it's going to make people feel that when they watch it and see it. So if it's for people that had a mindset based on racism and they couldn't step out of, maybe they just came across one of my funny videos that kind of put a mirror up to racism to show them how ridiculous and how foolish you look acting this way. And if maybe that lit a fire under them or turned on some type of switch in their head just by watching a 2 to 3 minute video that I created during this chaotic time, that's good enough for me. Because anything other than that, like if I would love for 1 million people to see the videos. I would love for that. But if 10 people saw something and changed their mind because of what I created, that's fine. Because trying to weigh the world on your shoulders, especially when the world has, just acted crazy towards you, it's not worth it. You gotta just do what you can with what you bring to the table.
That's what's up. And you mentioned like creating through pain. Like, do you feel a difference in creating through pain and creating when you're not experiencing like, I guess like a negative experience?
So I usually, since it's comedy that I do, the experiences are usually painful-ish, whether it's dating or just something that, it's like, oh man, it's kind of a dark time. But this right here is super duper dark. What was the question? Is there a difference?
Yeah. Like, do you feel a difference? Like, is it easier for you to create in pain, or like, can you still create like when you're not in that space?
Yes. Creating from chaos.
Yeah.
There's pain, and then there's like,
that's true. Yeah.
There's inner. So creating from here right now, I would say it's pain and chaos just mixed together in a big old sandwich, and it is easier because you don't care.
Yeah.
You genuinely don't care, because at that moment it's like, y'all gonna get this message. Like, I don't care if you don't think it's funny. I don't care if it's so dark. The message is still, you got that message though, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The message hits deeper. The message hits different.
So, I mean, to me, it sounds like you create with purpose. Like, it's not like you just making stuff just to make stuff.
Right. I don't. That's very, if you're going to make stuff just to make stuff, you're in for a real treat in 2020, because is exhausting. You have to have a why. You have to have a why, or else you're just making stuff, and that's exhausting because the amount of things you can make are endless. There's so many platforms. It's exhausting. And I see people doing it every single day. And I'm just like, oh, you're just feeling pressure to create stuff, but there is no purpose behind it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I definitely create from purpose. And when my purpose is being like, how do I want to say this, threatened or challenged, and that's basically like just being a Black woman doing kind of quirky comedy, whatever, feeling like maybe that sector doesn't get as much shine or whatever. It doesn't even matter because what I'm about to create right now it's so meaningful. It's just meaningful. Like, y'all gotta, yeah.
That's what's up. What advice would you give to like a creator of any medium right now?
I would say, know your why. Why do you want to do it? Like, straight up, why do you want to do it? Because in today's, you know, social media with everything, and you can literally create anything you want on any platform, but you have to ask yourself why. If your why is, oh, because I want a lot of followers, put the pen down. Go sit down somewhere. Like, no, if your why is, oh, I just, you know, I'm just trying to figure out, no, you better put that pen down until you really figure out your actual why. Because figure out your why. And if you're struggling with trying to figure out your why, ask yourself what you want to be known for. Ask yourself what kind of mark you want to leave on this world. Ask yourself, if you were looking outside of yourself, what would you want to say about yourself? Just like ask yourself your why. People pretend that they don't know and they trying to see what they want to do. No, they don't have a why. And once you do, you can create anything.
Fact. That's a big fact. How long have you been in LA?
I've been in LA. It's going to be 3 years in August. I came here August 2017, the day before Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was living in Austin. I've been in Austin. I was living in Austin. You know, my family's from Houston, but I was in Houston the week before I was about to move away, you know. And then I get on my plane, hop on a plane at LAX with my dream and my cardigan, get here, and then boom, Hurricane Harvey. And that is when I first started experiencing anxiety. Because I was like, oh, I'm chasing my dream and my whole family is over here. And now this crazy hurricane is happening. So I'll never forget.
Wow. Do you still experience anxiety?
Yes, but I'm, you know, making sure I'm finding my ways to combat it, making sure that, you know, my circle is good, no matter how small it is. I don't need to be surrounded by anybody that's making me feel even more anxious. Anything outside of me that's making me feel anxious, I cut it off immediately. Cut off queen. Yeah. But, you know, meditating, connecting with people like you know what I mean? Like, just making sure that I'm controlling things that make me feel good, you know?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. How do you feel about the transition from Texas to here?
I love it. I didn't feel like, I've always felt like I didn't fit in. Yeah. My parents are Nigerian. So I've always felt like, wasn't Nigerian enough, of course, wasn't Black enough, of course. I kind of scathed through school by making jokes and stuff. And I wasn't really I was like a B+ student, like a D math student. Yeah. So I never really, like, school was cool, went to college and stuff, but I never really felt like I fit in there because everyone was working towards working in a corporate type of job and not creative. I don't feel like the environments I was in were conducive for someone like me, who, you know, had much bigger dreams to create all of this stuff outside of like what we were being trained to do in college, you know, in the education system. But that's a whole different story. I love LA. I do.
Me too. Me too.
I do. I'm a West Coast kind of girl. Like, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, from the South, but I love LA.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And like the South is always gonna be there. It's always gonna be
Right.
home. But
Right.
it is something about LA. Like I feel like it brings out like the best of the best as far as like creatives and just like people that really have like the ideas to
Mhm.
get out. Like we all come here for a reason. And I find that a lot of people get burnt out. But how do you keep from burning out?
Remembering my why. I'm telling you, when
I
you listen.
I already understand. I know.
Cause okay, I started my channel in 2012, so it's 8 years now, right? And it's just like, okay, I moved from undergrad, then I went to Austin, and it's like all of this stuff, and it's just like sometimes I'm like, well, why am I? Oh yeah, even when I was telling you, even when I go back to Houston, and maybe the culture of Houston is not conducive to the life that I want to live. So when I go home, I remember. I love my family. I'm with my family and everything. And, I maybe see one or two friends there in Houston. But then when I'm there and I have my still moments, I remember my why of why I left, because I need to be in a place where I can severely elevate in my craft. Not saying that I can't elevate in Texas at all, but for what I want to do, it's not there. And so I remember there was a point in time, even during this pandemic and everything going on quarantine, I was like, am I going to go home for maybe like a month? And I was like, no, because even with the pandemic happening, my why is still here.
Yeah.
So, and I've come too far to essentially go back. My why is just going to be looking at me like, what are you doing? What about that?
No, I understand. I do. Because it had crossed my mind at one point to go home, and I said, nah, this it's just not where it is right now.
No.
Like the energy that I'm getting here, like being able, like, because I've been creating a lot too, and it's almost like this has been kind of inspired me. I guess I like chaos too.
Mm-hmm. Listen, look. But you know what? Maybe we do. Maybe we like creative chaos or something, because I felt like in Texas, I wasn't getting enough of the crazy creator.
Yeah.
I was getting the safe player. People were safe, or like, yeah, I'm gonna do this little whatever, and it's gonna be, and I'm trying to, I want it to be larger than life. I want the chaos to be the creative chaos to be major. So like, I feel like if I was in Houston or even in Austin where I was living, I feel like I'd be eating. My why would have been forgotten. I'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable. Yeah. And it's very comfortable. And being in a comfortable place makes me uncomfortable. So
yeah. No, I understand.
Remembering that why.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so long-winded.
Do you think your younger self will be proud of who you are today?
Yes. Very proud. Like,
that's what's up.
Very, very, very proud. And I'm smiling ear to ear, because sometimes we just sit and we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes we don't like where we are in the moment. We want to be so further ahead. But then we think back of like how far we've come. And like my younger self is majorly like, wow, look at us. She's just like, look, you did it. You in a house that you put on your vision board, and all of this stuff. So she would be so proud. And the person who I'm moving into for the future, she gonna be proud of this person for not giving up during the pandemic, like Revolution 2020 Marchathon. Like she's gonna be so happy. Yeah. Jeez.
That's what's up. I got two more questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what does it mean to you to be Black?
Whew. Okay. To be Black means to be a beautiful threat to the world. A beautiful threat to the world. We are terrifying. We're terrifying at first glance because it's like, how can you be so beautiful? Right? But then when we tap into our art and our essence, that's even scarier. Because it's like, not only are they beautiful physically, these people are brilliant.
Yes.
Like, just brilliant. So it's really not a surprise that, everyone wants to just hold us down, because I'd be afraid too, low-key.
Right.
We are a beautiful threat. And that's all that this is. We're a beautiful threat. And it's like, by any means necessary, keep us down.
Yeah.
But, that's what you do to beautiful threats. You're afraid because it's so amazing.
I definitely feel you. And my last question is, what is one piece of advice or a lesson that you could share with the listeners?
Keep going. And your reason to continuously keep going is your own. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to go into any spiel, any monologue about how amazing you are, about how you won't settle. Just keep going, because you know the reason and the gold at the end of the pot for you to keep going. Like, only you know. So keep going, and don't waste your energy on telling people why you're going to keep going or what the benefits of keep going is for you. You know what's on the other side of that. So continuously keep going, and do not look back. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I needed that today too. So thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Yes. We just got to keep going and don't look back. Period.
Yes. Ngozi, where can the people find you?
Okay, you guys can find me on my YouTube channel. That's GoziTV.com. I also have a second YouTube channel that's GoziTV 2.0. That's where I just talk. Not necessarily about funny things, but we talk about all kinds of things. Instagram, GoziTV, Twitter, GoziTV, Cash App, GoziTV. So we're just GoziTV, Facebook, all across the board. And you just Google that. I will pop up everywhere.
That's what's up. Thank you so much for being on the show. Like, I really do appreciate this.
Yes, this is awesome. Like, I already knew this podcast is very healing and very calming. Yeah, I love it. Keep doing it.
I appreciate that, for real.
I appreciate being here.
Thank you. And thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast @gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213-394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.